That was an unretouched photograph. That beautiful blue heron, was hanging out there for the summer.
Yeah.
I think I've read this poem before, but it's a poem I wrote in New Year's. So if you can indulge me, I'll read it again. It's called Poem for New Year, actually. Make a list. So I think I read it just like last week. So, make a list of things you love. Swirling flowers curled into buds, about to bloom. A friend's gorgeous hair. Your own soul on fire. Let them reach in and lift the pressing weariness of this world, releasing the false belief that the tender infant that your life is was ever meant to be a burden. Releasing the false belief that the tender infant that your life is was ever meant to be a burden. In this new year, open the tiny buds. Watch them transfer their fragrant joy. Brush one beautiful strand after another and repeat. Freedom is the open mouth of my life and is everywhere, shouting for more. Like a moth, step into the light of your own fire, waiting to burst into flames. Like a prayer, ready to leave this world more beautiful than when we came into it.
Mm. Yeah, that's exceptional.
Yeah. I love that line, like a moth.
Yeah.
The thing about bursting into flame.
Yeah. It's I'm sure I stole it from somewhere.
Well, that's the moth and the flame. That's a very classic Persian.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right out of the Conference of the Birds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is one I read. Elaine came to my house last Sunday. We were having a gathering and we drank too much eggnog. And thankfully, Laurent
did not. I did not drink too much.
I drank too much eggnog, and thankfully Laurent came and made it a Baba-centric experience because we were all like, "Oh, let's have some spiked eggnog." But this is a poem I wrote for Laurent's book, which is called "Surrender" with Mir Baba, and so it's called "How Long." I think I've read this one. Gosh, I'm sorry, I'm reading things I read before recently. In this garden of your making, I am weeping. My loneliness knows no bounds, and you, hidden at every turn. What is beauty without you near? Only grace can dust my lips with color and bring brightness back to my eyes. I have been given everything, and yet I am parched and broken. Like a bird who has forgotten how to fly, I am. Like a rose with no fragrance, I have become. Come back, you say. But I am frightened you may ask too much or take everything I have mounted into my sack. Return, you say. I glance at the place where I once wore your ring. Its imprint still shows upon my finger. Surrender, you say. And suddenly, the gates swings open to the inner courtyard where you have been, Baba, all along. The moon a reflection of my sorrow for how long I have been away from you.
Wow.
Yeah, beautiful.
Surrender word. You can get a lot of juice out of that word. Shall I carry on?
Yeah, please.
And then Telly, we're going to pop you in because we know you have some roomy for us. This one is called Banat, and it's the Gaelic word for blessing. And a friend of mine passed on this past year, and I felt like he really just willed himself to die. which of course can happen. And so I wrote a poem for him. Really, I was trying to say, welcome to the other side, because of course, when you feel that someone has sort of chosen death, that he was young, then it's sometimes hard to imagine him being fully welcomed in. I don't know if you all have this experience, but I have that experience where I know that person will be struggling with their death at some point in time. So I wanted to somehow say welcome to this world, so that he would not feel shut out. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, it's called The Knocked. We are gatekeepers. We are entrance points. We are light-filled and vulnerable in ways that we cannot imagine. Our bodies breaking like clay bowls under the weight of it all. This joy, tenable, elusive, starts out as remembering, and if we are paying attention, becomes knowing, filling over the ancient loneliness of this world, which otherwise racks and grieves the body, cracking us down to the marrow. Joy filling the body's furrows that are so deep, they become rivers of light. Sing praises for your life. Sing as if tomorrow will not come, because one day it will not. And all we will be left with are the efforts, love-filled and glorious, the striving to let in the tenderness of it all, breaking down the walls that hold back the beauty as if we don't belong, settling into a deeper countenance, as if home were everywhere, and walking up to the threshold, you, no longer a guest, but a loved and welcomed member.
Well, I hope he got the message.
I drove his boyfriend was one of my oldest friends from high school, and I drove to Atlanta just to recite that poem for them, and he was so there. Yeah. I think he really loved it.
I have a Celtic knot for you. This has hung on my door.
Oh my! Did you make that?
Yeah, I drew it.
Lovely.
Centered.
Wow.
Back up, it's so big.
Oh my gosh, that's lovely.
Yeah. The thing about a Celtic knot is there's no beginning and no end.
Right. Yeah.
It's all one line.
Yeah.
It's a one weave.
You did that on cardboard.
Yeah, this is just a piece of cardboard I had handy, and I just did it and hung it on my wall, and I've had it for about 40 years.
Yeah,
wow.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I do them all the time. There, you can get the whole picture. It's really hard for me because the picture is moving opposite of my movements.
Right.
Right.
And pull back. There you can see the whole thing that way.
Yeah.
It's lovely. It's really beautiful.
As part of my own insignia as an artist, I developed a three-sided one.
Really?
This is four-sided, and I made a three-sided one, and that's I put it on most of my work.
Oh. Elaine's one of those kind of people that, can more or less do anything. She came over to my house and she had on the most beautiful mask I've ever seen. I said, where did you get that? Because she goes, oh, I made it out of a sheet and an old t-shirt. It was gorgeous.
Well, I keep everything.
Elaine, she's very low key. It takes you a while to figure out the woman can basically do anything.
Chop wood.
Carry water.
Do art.
Yeah.
Raise sheep. Herd sheep. Have babies.
All right, so I'm gonna do one more, and then I'm gonna pass it over to somebody else. This one is called Enough, which I have just managed to completely lose. I think I can remember it. She dreamed of the day she would have enough courage to drop her ideas of the way it should be. Then she would step into the wild pool and bathe into the joy that only this letting go could bring. When her heart asked her, when will that be? She ran 1,000 miles away and over her shoulder looked to see if it followed. We throw bricks at our heart as if we could break that love. And when we finally hold our own hand and say to that mirror image, you, so beautiful, our hearts will shine and we will find that courage was enough. It was enough all along.
Interesting. Yeah.
Usually I love that poem. Today I'm just like, why did I read that poem? And yeah, usually I love that poem because it so expresses how I feel. But today I'm like,
Yeah.
I wrote it at the center where I wrote most of what's in my book. All right, I'm lobbing this over to you, Telly.
Well, I didn't pick out rooming. I picked out because the theme I thought was about beginnings and endings.
It was, and then I got sick and I just abandoned the whole thing.
What happened?
I'm still sick, so I abandoned the whole thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I picked up Lao Tzu. Yeah, the Tao Te Ching.
Mm.
So I'll just read one of these.
You read a couple.
Okay. I'll read a couple. This is 14. Look, it cannot be seen. It is beyond form. Listen, it cannot be heard. It is beyond sound. Grasp, it cannot be held. It is intangible. These three are indefinable. Therefore, they are joined in one. From above, it is not bright. From below, it is not dark. An unbroken thread beyond description. It returns to nothingness, the form of the formless, the image of the imageless. It is called indefinable and beyond imagination. Stand before it, and there is no beginning. Follow it, and there is no end.
Mm-hmm.
Stay with the ancient Tao. Move with the present. Knowing the ancient beginning is the essence of Tao.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Mm.
Did you know that the symbol, the yin yang, which is kind of the fundamental symbol of Taoism, it was meant to not just represent masculine and feminine, but it was really also, its original meaning was to represent something that you go through, something that you kind of walk through. Like a gateway.
Yeah. This is number 52. The beginning of the universe is the mother of all things. Knowing the mother, one also knows the sons. Knowing the sons, yet remaining in touch with the mother, brings freedom from the fear of death. Keep your mouth shut, guard the senses, and life is ever full. Open your mouth, always be busy, and life is beyond hope. Seeing the small is insight. Yielding to force is strength. Using the outer light, return to insight, and in this way be saved from harm. This is learning constancy.
Gosh, that's good.
That's definitely a wonderful definition of Tai Chi.
Hmm.
Wow, that's good.
I like that.
Tai Chi Chuan, which I did for a couple of years.
Mm.
It's the only physical, what do you call it, regimen that I loved.
Mm.
The rest of them are all just work
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
uninspiring. But Tai Chi is really a thing. It's just incredible.
Mm.
Yeah, could you read that again?
Sure. Let's see, that was 52.
Lao Tzu.
The beginning of the universe is the mother of all things. Knowing the mother, one also knows the sons. Knowing the sons, yet remaining in touch with the mother, brings freedom from the fear of death. Keep your mouth shut. Guard the senses, and life is ever full. Open your mouth, always be busy, and life is beyond hope. Seeing the small is insight. Yielding to force is strength.
Yes.
Using the outer light, return to insight, and in this way, be saved from harm. This is learning constancy.
Learning constancy. Mm. Interesting choice of words.
Mhm. Is that book, is it one poem for each one of the 64 primary I Ching qualities?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder if that's why he chose that word. I wonder if that was one of the 64 primary virtues.
Hmm.
Constancy.
Yeah, I wonder.
How many poems are in that book?
There are 70.
Mm.
Let's see.
Just curious.
Yeah, actually, it goes up to 80, 81.
Mm. Mm.
Will you read one more for us?
I'll read one more. Again, because it had something to do with beginning, I had looked at it particularly, but I looked through all of them. Peace is easily maintained. Trouble is easily overcome before it starts. The brittle is easily shattered. The small is easily scattered. Deal with it before it happens. Set things in order before there is confusion. A tree as great as a man's embrace springs from a small shoot. A terrace 9 stories high begins with a pile of earth. A journey of 1,000 miles starts under one's feet. He who acts defeats his own purpose. He who grasps loses. The sage does not act, and so is not defeated. He does not grasp, and therefore does not lose. People usually fail when they are on the verge of success. So give as much care to the end as to the beginning. Then there will be no failure. Therefore, the sage seeks freedom from desire. He does not collect precious things.
Mm.
He learns not to hold on to ideas.
Mm.
He brings men back to what they have lost. He helps the 10,000 things find their own nature, but refrains from action.
Mm. Oh, God. I'm practically in tears.
Yeah.
That's just practically Baba.
Yeah. Yes. very paradoxical, which is very Rumi-esque, isn't it?
Yes. Who is the publisher of that book?
This is translated by Jane English, and the publisher is Vintage Books, the division of Random House Inc.
Mhm.
So this came out in copyright 1989,
Mm. Yeah.
and then again in 1972. A friend of mine gave it to me back in the early 70s, a copy of this,
Mm.
and I was just really I was amazed at the wisdom.
Mhm.
So it's so
Perennial.
yeah.
Yeah. I always think that's a sign of a master when something is just completely perennial all the time.
Yeah.
It really becomes timeless, classic.
Yeah. And it's eternal. It's unending, and
Right.
it has no date.
Right. Right.
It's not locked into time at all.
Right. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
I'll put
Thank
that-
you.
Well, you're welcome.
That was fabulous. Gosh, I don't think I can follow that. Tina, do you have something that you'd like to read?
Well, I have a short Rumi.
Oh, good.
It says, let go of your worries and be completely clear-hearted like the face of a mirror that contains no images. If you want a clear mirror, behold yourself and see the shameless truth which the mirror reflects. If the metal can be polished to a mirror-like finish, what polishing might the mirror of the heart require? Between the mirror and the heart is a single difference. The heart conceals secrets while the mirror does not.
Can you read that again?
Yeah. Let go of your worries and be completely clear-hearted like the face of a mirror that contains no images. If you want a clear mirror, behold yourself and see the shameless truth which the mirror reflects. If metal can be polished to a mirror-like finish, what polishing might the mirror of the heart require? Between the mirror and the heart is this single difference. The heart conceals secrets while the mirror does not.
Mm.
Wow.
So good.
Well, I came up with one of my favorite poems after all.
Oh, good.
Good.
And again, it's in the German ilk. This is a true mystic, Meister Eckhart.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
I love Meister Eckhart.
Yeah, love him. This poem, when I first came across it, reduced me to tears on the spot. And I was in a restaurant with my family, my children, and they sat at the table watching Mama cry. They were disturbed. And the reason for it was, this is the story, actually, of how I came to Baba. God lies in wait for us with nothing so much as love. Love is like a fisherman's hook. Without the hook, he could never catch a fish. But once the hook is taken, even though the fish twists hither and yon, still the fisherman is sure of him. And so too, I speak of love. He who is held by it is held by the strongest of bonds, and yet the stress is pleasant. Moreover, he can sweetly bear all that happens to him. When one has found this bond, he looks for no other. And so I rendered that calligraphically and pasted it in my songbook So wherever my songbook goes, there's my
And,
language.
and that's the one you gave to Phil and Jean.
That's right. I did the calligraphy. That was my wedding present for them. You've seen it on the wall somewhere.
Yeah, in making the CD, I would stay over at their place, and sometimes I'd walk into the front room on the second floor, and it was hanging there on the wall.
Yes, that was my wedding gift to them.
Wow,
Yeah, that's my calligraphy.
Hmm.
beautiful.
Yeah. It's starting to fall out. I mean, I literally taped it onto this plastic here. I don't know if you can see it,
Yeah.
but it's so wonderful. I was that fish in the pond. My epiphany when I read this poem was that I saw the fish in the water, and the fish is in his environment. He has no concept that there's this other environment above him that's more refined, and water is all he knows. And then suddenly in front of him there's this dangled thing, and he snaps at it, and he's yanked out of the pond by the fisherman. And that's exactly how Baba got me. He came and got me. I wasn't looking for God. He just came and got me. Just put the hook in front of me and I took it. So when I read this poem, I literally fell apart on the spot. I have another poem, which is not a poem, but it's a prayer, which I would like to read at the end. So I will.
Oh yeah, excellent. Yeah, I was thinking I would read this Wendell Berry, this very famous Wendell Berry poem that I'm sure y'all have all heard, but I thought it was nice for going into 2021, and then I'll pass it over to you, Elaine. It's called The Peace of Wild Things.
Peace. It's called what?
The Peace of Wild Things.
Peace of Wild Things.
Wendell Berry is an American poet who I believe won the Pulitzer several years ago. He's a farmer in the Midwest and went to Harvard, and is just very loved for his poetry about the environment. He's also written several treatises about the environment, not novels, but light treatises. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world, and I am free.
It's wonderful.
Lovely.
Yeah. Someone who's really, literally grounded.
Yeah. The peace of wild things.
Yeah.
In the earth, the earth itself.
Yeah. So, Elaine, would you like to, I love that you have a prayer. Do you want to share it?
Okay, this is a translation by Padre of that Zoroastrian prayer that Baba said he sang when he was Zoroaster. This is a remarkable thing. It's very, very old, and it's very primal. In the name of God Almighty, I praise and utter. Almighty God, full of glory, full of radiance, all-knowing, preserver of all. God of God, God of God, King of kings, protector of all, creator of all things created, bestower of bounties and giver of food to all, Lord of nature. O Almighty God, the Ancient One, Forgive us, bestower of grace, O merciful, O omnipotent, omniscient, O Lord of all, O nourisher of purity.
Thank you.
It's a description of Baba and all the thing, what he is, the nourisher of purity. Look how far he went in this Advent. And the wonderful story is that he sang that song in Persian, of course. Baba said, I sang it in the hills of Persia. And that just kind of makes the hair on the back of my neck. Just picture Baba dressed in that white Zoroastrian outfit, standing in the mountains on the hills of Persia, singing this song. What, 6,000, 8,000 years ago? I mean, how long ago was that? It's that this is the only prayer I know of that's really in praise of how to really worship God as God, what we can conceive of as what God is.
Is it written out anywhere?
Well, I don't know, because Padre Erico gave me this translation and said it was Padre's translation of that prayer. I may have mentioned that prayer before.
Telly, do you want to put your email up there so she can send it to you?
What?
I was asking Telly if he wants to put his email up on the sidebar so you can send him a copy.
Okay. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, if you don't, that's fine.
It's probably, I'm happy to send you a copy of this, which is in my handwriting. I wrote it large so that I could read it without glasses when I was performing the prayer, singing it. So it's in my handwriting. I copied it off of Erico's copy, which he copied down from Padre.
I'm reading Erica's book now.
Yeah, I've just got it. I just started it, and all these other books came up, and I have about 7 books on my bedside table.
I was surprised to learn how many 4-letter words Padre used.
Oh, he taught us how to curse in. Yeah, he did. He taught us how to curse in Marathi.
And not only that,
Always handy.
Baba cursed before he stopped speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Baba cursed. Isn't that amazing?
Parsis love to curse. They've really nailed it. They nailed it like anything. The Padre would curse. Allah.
Better about the fact that I occasionally.
Yeah. No, I curse inanimate objects that fall on the floor.
Oh.
I think I have Tourette's.
I curse other drivers.
Oh.
I curse when I drive. It's just awful.
It's hard not to.
Pardon? What?
It's hard not to. Driving is so visceral.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
and
that's
and you have a big armored thing around you, so you feel safe to curse people. I can't hear you.
How dare you come close to my extension of my ego?
Yeah. My favorite is cursing in Italian. There's this gesture that they make in Italy.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty famous. It's this one.
Yeah.
They say vaffanculo.
But you can't do that when you're driving.
No. Well, I'm sure it's been done in Italy while people are driving.
Yeah, right.
Which explains a lot about their driving.
Right?
There's no hands on the wheel.
Yeah. Well, since we are about words tonight, may I say I ask in humility that 2021 will be blessed for all of us, and that any burdens we are carrying with us will be gently lifted from our being by Baba and brought into a realm of healing. And I wish that for all of you for the new year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, blessings for the new year.
Almost.
Yes. I think several of our poems tonight have been very good New Year poems.
Yes, excellent New Year poems. Poetry is always a welcome guest anywhere in my book.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, y'all. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Bye, Tina.
Bye, Ellen.
Tina.
My love to New
Yeah.
York.
Yeah.
All right, good.
Much I miss.
Night.
Jai Baba.
Jay, bye.